If you told BTS fans a year ago that Jimin would end up wrapped in a bear hug from IShowSpeed in the middle of the biggest football match on the planet, nobody would have believed you. But that is exactly what happened on July 19th, 2026. And by the time you finish this video, you will understand why this 5-minute backstage moment is already being called one of the wildest celebrity encounters of the year. Before we get into it, if you are new here, this is the channel where we break down every single BTS moment the second it happens, from the tiny details other channels miss to the full story behind the viral clips flooding your feed. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust me, you do not want to miss what BTS does next after this. Let's set the scene first, because context matters here. July 19th, 2026. MetLife Stadium, New Jersey. Spain versus Argentina. The final of the FIFA World Cup. This was not just any football match. This was the culmination of an entire tournament that gripped the world for weeks. And FIFA decided to do something that had never been done before in World Cup history. For the very first time ever, the World Cup final got its own halftime show, produced at a scale usually reserved for the Super Bowl. Coldplay's Chris Martin was brought in to curate the whole thing, and the lineup he assembled was stacked. Madonna, Justin Bieber, Shakira reuniting with Burna Boy, and BTS. Let that sink in for a second. BTS, performing on a global stage, at the World Cup final, in front of one of the largest live television audiences of the entire year. This came right in the middle of BTS's comeback era, following their return from military service, and it was one of the clearest signals yet that the group's global reach has not slowed down even a little. They performed Dynamite, one of their most iconic hits, and by every account, the stadium absolutely lost it. Now here's where things get interesting, because BTS was not the only viral name working that night. Before the match even started, IShowSpeed, the American streamer known for his chaotic energy and enormous online following, opened the entire closing ceremony. He took center stage at what FIFA was calling the New York, New Jersey Stadium, performing his newly released single, World Cup Champions, alongside a group of dancers and drummers dressed in bright tracksuits. So already, before kickoff, before halftime, before any of the headline performers touched the stage, Speed had already put on a show of his own in front of a global audience. Think about the scale of what FIFA actually pulled off here for a second, because it puts everything that follows into perspective. This was not a quick 5-minute halftime break. Reports from the night put the intermission at over 27 minutes, making it the longest halftime break in World Cup history. Madonna opened the show, rising dramatically from beneath the stadium floor to perform her hit music. Justin Bieber followed. Shakira reunited with Burna Boy for a performance of Die Die, the song that had already become one of the unofficial anthems of the entire tournament after debuting back at the opening ceremony in Mexico City. And then BTS closed things out with Dynamite. The whole production was built as a fundraiser for the FIFA Global Citizen Education Fund, an initiative aiming to raise $100 million for children's education around the world. So this was not just entertainment, it was one of the most watched charitable productions of the year, with BTS standing right at the center of it. And the celebrity crowd watching from the stands only added to the scale of the night. Beyoncé and Jay-Z were spotted in attendance. So were Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet. Anya Taylor-Joy was there too. This was, without exaggeration, one of the highest wattage nights in recent memory, and BTS was sharing that spotlight with some of the biggest names in music and entertainment on the planet. But that is not the part everyone is talking about today. The real story broke backstage. According to reports from the night, Speed was watching the match from a private box when his brother spotted something that sent him sprinting. BTS, nearby, backstage. And if you know anything about IShowSpeed, you know subtlety is not really his style. He did not calmly walk over and introduce himself. He ran, frantically, by multiple accounts, looking for the group until he found them. And here is where Jimin comes into focus, because this moment matters even more when you understand who Jimin has become on the global stage over the past year. This is a member who has spent the last several months being embraced by European and American audiences in a way that even longtime BTS watchers found remarkable. Fashion houses wanted him. Stadiums across Europe sang his name back to him during the ARIRANG World Tour, from Madrid to Brussels to London to Munich. Just weeks before this World Cup final, Jimin was standing on stage in Germany for BTS's first ever performances there, watching crowds who had never seen the group live before lose their minds the second he stepped forward. And now, at the biggest sporting event on Earth, one of the internet's most recognizable streamers was sprinting across a backstage hallway specifically because Jimin and the rest of BTS were standing there. If you have been following this channel, you already know this is not an isolated pattern. We have watched Jimin become the member who keeps ending up at the center of these unexpected global crossover moments, whether that is a 5-star review from a skeptical British journalist who walked in unconvinced and walked out completely won over, or a global ambassador moment on a Paris runway, or a viral drone show forming his likeness over a beach in Busan. This IShowSpeed moment slots right into that same pattern, except this time it is not a journalist or a fashion house. It is one of the loudest, most chaotic personalities on the internet, and he is sprinting toward Jimin with the same energy he brings to meeting world-class athletes. When Speed finally reached them, he did not hold back. He asked for a photo. Then he went member by member, embracing each one individually. RM Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V Jungkook, all 7, in full view of cameras that would later turn this into one of the most replayed clips of the entire tournament. And it did not stop at hugs. Because this is IShowSpeed we are talking about, the encounter escalated fast. He busted out his signature backflip right there in front of the group, the same move he is known for pulling out in front of athletes, celebrities, and streamers around the world. And in a detail that is honestly one of the funniest parts of his whole story, he reportedly started barking, right there with BTS standing around him. If you have followed Speed's content at all, you know barking is basically his trademark bit at this point. So watching him bring that same unpredictable energy into a moment with BTS created a clash of 2 completely different worlds that somehow worked. Then came the moment that really sent fans into a frenzy. RM, the leader of BTS, greeted Speed by his full name, Darren Watkins Jr. Think about what that actually means for a second. It tells you that somewhere along the way, BTS was aware of who IShowSpeed is, aware enough that the leader of one of the biggest groups on the planet knew his real name and used it in the moment they met. For fans who track every tiny interaction BTS has with the wider entertainment world, that single detail was enough to send timelines into overdrive. After the hugs, the backflip, and the barking, the group settled into something a little more normal, a group photo. All 7 members of BTS, plus Speed, packed into frame. And if you look closely at the photos and clips that circulated afterward, Jungkook stands out with a wide-eyed expression and a thumbs up, a small reaction that fans immediately turned into memes within hours. It is the kind of tiny human detail that makes these viral moments feel real instead of staged, and it is exactly the kind of clip that gets clipped, reposted, and dissected across every platform. Now let's talk about what happened once BTS actually took the stage for their halftime performance, because Speed's reaction did not stop once the backstage meeting ended. Clips circulating online show him back in his seat, but not sitting still. He was up on his feet, dancing, visibly hyped as BTS launched into dynamite in front of the entire stadium. For someone whose entire online persona is built around big, unfiltered reactions, watching him lose it during a BTS performance in front of a global broadcast audience became its own moment, separate from the backstage meeting entirely. And then there is the quote that turned this whole story into a meme in its own right. After the match ended, with Spain beating Argentina 1-0 in the final, Speed connected the 2 events together, joking that the moment he met BTS was the exact moment Spain scored the winning goal. Obviously, there is zero actual connection between meeting a K-pop group backstage and a football match hundreds of feet away, but the timing lined up just well enough that fans could not resist running with it. Within hours, the line was everywhere, stitched into edits, screenshotted into tweets, and turned into its own inside joke among both ARMY and Speed's fanbase. Quick pause here, because if you're enjoying this breakdown, this is the perfect moment to hit like and drop a quick comment with just one word, the name of your bias, before we keep going. It genuinely helps this video get in front of more people who need to see the story, and I love seeing which member everyone is rooting for while they watch. Okay, back to the story. What makes this whole encounter hit differently is the collision of 2 completely different fandoms colliding in real time. IShowSpeed's audience skews toward gaming, streaming, and internet culture, a massive, mostly Western, mostly younger crowd that does not usually cross paths with K-pop content. BTS's audience is one of the largest and most devoted fan communities in the world, spanning generations and continents. When a figure as chaotic and unpredictable as Speed suddenly shows up hugging, backflipping, and barking in front of BTS, both fan bases get pulled into the same conversation at the same time. That is exactly the kind of crossover moment that does not happen very often, and when it does, it spreads fast. It also says something bigger about where BTS sits culturally right now. A few years ago, it would have been unusual for a streamer whose content is built almost entirely around football, gaming, and internet chaos to have any real awareness of a K-pop group beyond the surface level. The fact that Speed not only knew who BTS was, but sprinted across a stadium hallway to meet them, tells you that BTS has fully crossed over into the same cultural conversation as global streaming and internet celebrity culture, not just music charts. That crossover is exactly what turns a backstage clip into a multi-platform viral event within hours instead of days. If you scroll through the comments under any of the viral clips right now, you can see it happening in real time. Longtime ARMY members reacting with pure joy at seeing BTS get this kind of organic, unscripted love from someone completely outside their usual world. Speed's fans reacting with equal excitement, some seeing BTS for basically the first time through the lens of their favorite streamers' genuine excitement. Comments calling it an honor to see the two worlds collide. Comments joking that this is what it would look like if they ever got the chance to meet BTS themselves. Comments simply saying that this is what it feels like to be alive in a moment like this. That kind of reaction, spontaneous, emotional, and shared across totally different online communities, is exactly why this moment has already outpaced a lot of other World Cup coverage this week. Let's zoom out for a second and talk about why this moment lands as hard as it does for BTS specifically. This performance did not happen in a vacuum. It came during a stretch where BTS has been rebuilding and expanding their global presence in real time, from stadium tours across Europe to major fashion moments to now, a performance on one of the largest live stages in the world. Every single one of these appearances adds another layer to the story of BTS's comeback, and having a global internet personality like IShowSpeed organically react this way, unscripted, in the moment, backstage, with zero PR polish, is a kind of authentic validation that money genuinely cannot buy. You cannot script a spontaneous sprint across a hallway. You cannot script a backflip. You cannot script someone barking with excitement because they cannot process what is happening. That rawness is exactly why it feels different from a typical red carpet interaction. And for Jimin specifically, this fits into a pattern we have been tracking closely on this channel for months now. Jimin has become something of a lightning rod for these crossover cultural moments, the member who keeps ending up at the center of the internet's biggest crossover reactions, whether that is European stadiums singing his name, fashion houses fighting for his attention, or now, an American streamer with tens of millions of followers sprinting backstage specifically to meet him and the rest of the group. Watching Jimin's expression in these clips, the mix of surprise and warmth as Speed goes in for the hug, is honestly one of the most talked about parts of the entire exchange among fans who have picked apart every second of footage. So what happens now? If history with IShowSpeed tells us anything, this will not be the last we hear about this encounter. Speed has a track record of bringing up viral moments again and again across future streams, referencing them, joking about them, sometimes even turning them into recurring bits with his audience. Given how much attention this BTS meeting has already gotten, do not be surprised if this becomes something he brings up repeatedly in future content, keeping the story alive well past this initial viral wave. And on the BTS side, with the group's comeback still very much in motion and more appearances almost certainly on the horizon, this backstage moment may end up being remembered as one of the more unexpected, charming footnotes of this entire era. There is also a broader pattern worth pointing out here, because this World Cup final was never really just about football for BTS. It was another data point in a year that has already included a full stadium tour comeback, a record-breaking album, a headline-making European leg, and now a slot on one of the biggest entertainment stages of the year, shared with names like Madonna and Justin Bieber. Every single one of these moments builds on the last, and a spontaneous, unscripted reaction from someone with Speed's reach does something none of the scripted appearances can. It shows the group's cultural footprint from an angle nobody was expecting. Nobody booked this. Nobody planned this. It happened because two massive, completely different worlds simply happened to be standing in the same hallway at the same time. And that is exactly why it feels so genuine to people watching it unfold online. It is also worth remembering just how differently each member handled the exact same chaotic burst of energy coming at them. RM stayed composed enough to greet Speed by his full name in the middle of the madness. Jungkook's wide-eyed thumbs up became its own standalone reaction shot within hours. And Jimin, as fans have pointed out clip after clip, met the whole thing with warmth, letting Speed's over-the-top excitement wash over him without missing a beat. 7 members, 1 wild moment, 7 completely different reactions, and somehow all of it worked together to create one of the most shared BTS clips of the entire tournament. Before we wrap up, I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below and tell me, what was the best part of this whole encounter for you? Was it RM knowing Speed's full name? Was it the backflip? The barking? Jungkook's thumbs up? Or Jimin's reaction the second Speed came in for the hug? I read every single comment, and I want to hear your take on this one specifically, because this is exactly the kind of unscripted moment that shows how far BTS's reach has grown. And if this video gave you even a little bit of that same excitement you felt scrolling through the clips for the first time, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach more ARMY around the world who might have missed the story entirely. Subscribe if you have not already, because we are covering every single moment of this comeback era as it unfolds, from the biggest stadium performances down to the smallest viral backstage clips like this one. And turn on that notification bell, because with BTS this active right now, you do not want to be the last one finding out when the next big moment drops. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. This community keeps growing every single day, and it means everything that you keep showing up for these stories. Let me know in the comments what you want covered next, whether that is more from this World Cup night, more on Jimin's ongoing moment in the spotlight, or anything else happening with BTS right now. I will see you in the next video.